Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another week of yoga. Stay firm. Sending that right foot back. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back to Alexis Fit Yoga. I'm so very glad that you've decided to join me today. Today's class, we're going to be using some blocks as props. I will be using my cork blocks. They're nice and firm, they're not gonna go anywhere, and they've got a little bit of a weight to them, so we can do some weighted poses. But if you've got your good old-fashioned foam blocks, those work great as well. They got a little bit of a give to them, so just be careful doing any balance that you are right in the middle of the block. And if you don't have a formal set of blocks, go ahead and belt together a couple of books. This works really great as well. I like hardcovers because they, have a hardcover and are a little bit more forgiving if you're gonna put weight on them than soft covers are, of course, but they work great as well. We'll make our way to a mountain pose. Bringing ankles under knees, under hips, picking up the toes, spreading them out wide and setting them back down. Lifting the shoulders up to the ears, rolling them back and down the spine, opening the palms in front of the body. Engaging through the core a little so we can stand nice and tall, reaching the top of the head up and pressing down through the feet. Taking some really big breaths here. Getting used to the space that you're in and any energies within or around you today. Now with our next big breath in, we'll reach the arms up towards the ceiling, taking the eyes with. Exhale, swan diving the arms, taking them down and softening forward, hinging at the waist. Inhale to a half high. So engaging the core, lifting the spine towards straight. Exhale to fold. We'll nod the head yes. Shake the head no, release out to the upper body. Allow yourself to hang. Inhale, half high. Again, engaging that core, pressing out through the top of the head. Exhale to fold. With an inhale, reverse swan, diving the arms, taking them out and lifting us all the way towards standing, taking the eyes up towards the hands. Exhale, releasing the arms down. Whew. Go ahead and grab for those blocks. We're going to put them on the outsides of the front of our mat. So we can put them up nice and tall like this, about a little bit further than shoulder distance. Or if you want to measure it, find your mountain pose, how your hands naturally want to be open in that pose, and then put your blocks that far apart. That's how far your shoulders want to be apart. So stepping up towards those blocks with a big breath in, reaching the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half high, taking the hands to the blocks. Exhale to fold. Putting a bend to the legs, we'll plant the hands down behind the blocks, down on the mat. Stepping, hopping, or floating our way back to a plank pose. Shifting forward slightly, we'll soften the shoulders towards those blocks. Exhale, releasing the rest of the way down. Inhale to a baby cobra. Barely any weight in the hands, pressing down and up through the core. Exhale, softening down. Pressing the hips up and back behind us, and we'll find a down dog. wiggling out through the hips or through the legs. Whatever feels right to you here. Giving yourself a little grace for the first down dog of the day. Taking your time to start to warm up those muscles. Now we'll extend the left leg back behind, pointing with those toes, circling that left ankle around one direction, and then around the other. We'll step that left foot up to the hands, to the blocks, and take a large breath in once we get there. Even larger breath back out, grabbing those blocks and bringing them down beside our ankle or beside the foot. And we'll drop the right knee down. Inhale, lifting tall through the chest. So we're pressing into the blocks as we shift the hips forward, allowing them to soften here. If you think the blocks are a little bit too high, you can always turn them on their sides or on their faces. Now pressing the hands into our blocks, we'll tuck the right toes under, lifting us back to our high lunge. Getting comfortable with the balance and then lifting the rest of the way up. If you would like to add a little bit of weight training into this or a little extra strengthening in, you can grab one or both of your blocks and take them up as well. Bending into that left knee, lifting tall through the spine. The hips should be up towards the top of the mat. Good. We'll extend out through the left leg so that we can drop the right heel down. The foot should be at a 45-degree angle away from the body. We'll turn the hips up towards the top of our mat. And with an exhale, fold forward, placing the hands to the block. Now adding that bend back into the left knee, extending up towards the ceiling with the arms reaching tall. We're going to lift slightly so we can rotate that back foot, planting it down perpendicular to our front foot for our warrior two. So we're open to the right side of our mat now. Again, we have that option to grab our blocks and hold on to them to add a little extra weight to this pose. Lengthening out through the left leg again. We'll grab one of our blocks in our left hand. Sending the hips back behind, reaching that left arm towards the top of the mat, and we'll place our block down to the inside or the outside of our left leg, reaching the right arm tall to the ceiling, and trying to stay open through the shoulders. So we're gently pulling the right arm over top of the body and not letting it cave forward. If you're starting to cave, lift up a little bit taller so you can reach higher with that right hand. With our inhale, we'll float the body back up, putting the bend into that left knee again. Cartwheeling the arms, framing out the left foot with the hand, and we'll send the left leg back for our plank pose. Pausing here for a breath or two, spreading the fingertips out nice and wide, pressing down. Now we can go straight to our down dog, sending the hips up and back behind us. We can drop the knees to a tabletop, or we can find our chaturanga, to an up dog or a cobra, and then to our down dog. Finding a variation that honors your body and your practice today. Now once we've made it back to our down dog, we'll extend the right leg back, circling that right ankle out one way and around the other. Bringing that right foot up towards the hands so that we can frame it out. Taking a full breath in and an even larger breath back out as we drop the left knee down. Again, we can place the hands onto our blocks to help us lift the chest as we send the hips forward for our low lunge. Pressing into the blocks, tucking the left toes under, lifting up and assessing out that balance, moving the legs into the feet however you need to get comfortable before lifting for our warrior one. Now extending the right leg towards straight so we can drop the left heel down, turning the hips forward and softening. Bringing the hands to the block and bringing the chest towards the leg. Putting the bend back into our right knee so we can lift the chest tall again, taking the arms overhead, lifting and rotating so we can bring that left foot to a 90-degree angle with our front foot. Bending into the right knee, warrior two, lifting tall through the top of the head. Now extending out through that right leg again, I'll grab for a block. Sending the hips behind so we can reach the right arm out towards the front of our mat before we dive down. Lifting the left arm towards the ceiling, bringing the right hand down. And again, trying to stack the shoulders so we're not caving forward, we're staying up tall. we'll float the body back up. Picking up the toes of our right foot, we'll turn them towards the left side of our mat, bringing both heels in towards center and toes out towards the side. And we're gonna drop straight down like we're going to sit on a chair or sit onto our block. Bringing the knees in towards the stomach or towards the back of the mat. And taking a few deep breaths. With our next exhale, seeing if we can go just a little bit lower. Trying to keep that spine nice and long from the tailbone to the top of the head. Good, extending out through both legs. We'll turn the feet in so they're parallel or just past parallel, finding a little duck legs, bringing toes in further than the heels. And with our exhale, we'll hinge at the waist, forward fold. Now we can bring our blocks out in front of us, either putting the hands to the blocks or elbows to the blocks. Or we can let the blocks move out of our way. We'll nod the head yes, and shake the head no. Dropping the top of the head towards the floor. With an inhale, finding our half high, lengthening through the top of the head. And we'll take our blocks one step further out in front of the body. Pressing the hands into the blocks, and we're going to find a forward and back shift. Shifting forward so our shoulders are over, our wrists over the blocks, and then sending the tailbone up and back behind us. Moving back and forth. And seeing if we can keep our heels down on the mat the whole time. Walking those blocks one step closer in towards the body, in towards a natural place. We'll heel toe the legs in till we're in our forward fold. Inhale for a half high. Exhale to fold. Grabbing one of our blocks with both hands. We're going to ragdoll our way to standing, starting at the very base of the tailbone and rolling one vertebrae past the next. Doing the head and neck last, keeping the eyes down on that block for as long as we can. And once we make it to standing, we'll roll the shoulders back a few times. We'll make our way down to the mat to sit on a block, extending the legs long in front, and we'll kind of walk the legs forward. So using the heels to kind of pull us to the front edge of our block. So we're tipping over. This will help us roll the pelvis back behind and make it a little easier to do our forward fold here. With an inhale, reaching tall through the top of the head. Exhale, we'll fold at the waist, keeping the chin lifted so the spine is nice and long. We'll hold here for a few breaths. our next inhale, lifting up slightly, readjusting, and taking the top of the head up again. This time with our exhale, we'll bring the chin towards the chest, rolling down the spine, and bringing the forehead closer towards the legs. We'll ragdoll our way up again, rolling up the spine, dragging the arms along with, until we lift tall. Beautiful. Walking the bottoms of the feet in towards the body. We'll scoop forward a little bit more. So we're no longer tipping off the front of our block, but we can have our sit on it while still reaching the torso back a little further. We're going to do a little bit of abs or core now with our boat pose. So we can keep our tippy toes down on the floor, bringing the hands alongside the body, engaging through the core as we sit back. We can lift the feet up off the mat, taking the calves parallel to the floor, or we can extend the legs all the way out. Finding a variation here that works with your body. Keeping in mind that if you have a foam block, you may feel a little squishing side to side. Or if you have a foam block or a cork block, you may notice that it's a little harder to balance on a foam block as well. So being nice, being grateful to yourself here. With our exhale, we'll bring the feet back down, taking the knees a little further apart so we can reach the chest out in front of the body and then drop the chin forward. With an inhale, lifting the chest up. We'll remove the block so we can be fully on the floor. Bringing our backs to the mat. And walking the bottoms of the feet in again so they can plant. If you have space in your low back, that the back is not touching the floor, we'll lift the hips up off the mat, roll them forward, and set them back down. That should give us a little bit more space to soften the back down. Now grabbing for our block, we'll inch the heels in just a little bit closer towards our sit bones. And we'll bring the block underneath those sit bones. Setting the hips down to our block so we can stay here on the shortest side of the block. We can turn it to its side or turn it so it's all the way tall. But finding a variation here that's working with your body today. From here, we can stay in this pose. This pose is wonderful chest opening, as well as whole front of body opening. Or we can add a little bit more to it by taking one or both legs up towards the ceiling for our reverse process. our legs are up in the air, we'll gently bring them down, planting the bottoms of the feet before gently and carefully removing the block from underneath of us. Dropping the hips down towards the mat and extending the legs long. Taking a second or two to reset through the body. Now we'll walk the bottoms of the feet back in, grabbing for our block and moving it over to the left side. We'll bring our right knee into the chest for a nice big hug. And we can keep the left leg where it is, or we can drop it down towards the mat. With our exhale, we'll bring that right knee across the left side of the body and bring it towards our block. So turning it to whatever side feels right, feels restful, but gives you enough of a twist. If you need to stack your two blocks, that is perfectly fine as well. We'll turn the eyes to look over at our right hand. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. With our next inhale, bring that right knee back into the chest for another big squeeze. And we'll drop the foot down, moving our block over towards our right side. And bringing the left knee up for a big hug to the chest. Now taking that left knee across the right side. Bringing it down to our block. We can turn the eyes over towards our left hand and hold here for a few breaths. Bringing that left knee back in for another hug to the chest. We'll bring the right knee up as well, hugging both in. Now when you feel ready, go ahead and move out of this pose. I recommend taking a moment for some savasana, or at the very least pausing for a moment of gratitude here. Being sure to thank yourself for taking this time to come to your mat, to focus on your body and your breath, and to create a little bit of peace and stillness for yourself. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It is always such a joy and an honor to get to spend this time with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Go in love and light.